Yeah, so we are out here at my favorite spot. Let's see, the Slave Castle. And we are just doing what we normally do. So I just wanted to come on here and just chat with you guys for a second. I don't really have a topic or anything that I'm trying to talk about right now. There's actually a lot of stuff that's going on, and there's so much stuff going on right now that I can't really, you know, even focus down enough to be able to tell a cogent story without it going into, a whole bunch of different directions. So I don't know if, I can just do a news segment, that is so long that it goes all of these different places. I think that I would have to do something separate and kind of focus on one idea at a time. And I don't know, that is gonna be a lot, but we're gonna definitely give it a shot. I would like to sit down and do like I'm doing now and just have a casual conversation and not, get all structured and stringent, like the news is. The news seems to me forced. The style of news that I guess we've been accustomed to in America, and I guess this is worldwide news as well, where you have your notes in front of you and you just um, deliver it. Maybe that is going out of style because you have lots of YouTubers that do the news and they do it kind of in a casual way. They read from the news, right? They read from the actual news and then they just, give their opinion, their take on it. And so this is, I guess, not an unusual thing or something that's not uncommon in the YouTube community. And I guess we do have some Hebrews that do this as well. But we don't have anything as dedicated, I don't think, as some other people do. Some people do the news every day on YouTube. So, I'm kind of brainstorming some different things that we could do, and just trying to figure out how to accomplish this thing because there's so much going on right now that it does need to be covered. And if you're not following very closely, you may miss some key aspects. So, um, I guess I don't have anybody on here right now. And I was just really here at the beach, and I really did want to talk about a couple different things. I did look, and I know the brother's not on here right now. It was Proverbs 29, verse 5. And I looked it up, and it says, if I'm not mistaken, it says, he that flattereth his neighbor spreadeth the net for his feet. And I think, shalom, shalom, we got one person on here. We got the slave castle here. But so the verse was Proverbs 29 and 5. And if I'm not mistaken, it says, he that flattereth his neighbor spreadeth out a net under his feet. And that sounds strange, I guess. But I didn't go into the Hebrew. I meant to go into the Hebrew. I guess I was just casually looking at it. And I said, oh, it means this. You know how we do sometimes. We cursory look at something and then, kind of make a snap judgment on it, which we shouldn't do. I meant to go back west when I, thought about it later. I said, let me go back into the Hebrew to take a look at it and see if there's any nuance there that I'm missing. But it does seem to be pretty straightforward. It is. It seems like it's talking about flattery, the dangers of flattery. Um, that if you are being, if you're flattering someone, it's not doing them any good. It can only do you good. Do you see what I'm saying? It can only change their opinion of you. Do you see what I mean? So I guess you can go the other way too and, not say nothing nice about nobody. But what it seems, and this is what the book of Proverbs really goes into, a lot. is just the dangers of being too flattery, right? You know, putting on and behaving a certain way because you're around certain company, or because it's advantageous to you, or because you want to be shown favor at another time. Do you see what I'm saying? And so people would say, what's wrong with that? But the danger is that it's deceitful, right? That you can do it in order to manipulate. Proverbs goes into it, a lot. Uh, yeah, and I can't think. I didn't look at any other verse. That's another thing you got to do when you look at when you do word studies or verse studies. You got to look at other times the main word is being used, the focal point of the verse is being used. And I didn't do either of these things, so my apologies. I have to go back and do this. But but there's I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but several that involve flattery and how dangerous it is. None of the verses, if I'm not mistaken, none of the verses are positive about flattery in the book of Proverbs. It always calls it something that's dangerous and something that you have to watch out for. And that makes perfect sense to me. Because, and I guess this is kind of, yeah, sometimes it becomes a problem because some people can't, understand beyond. Because when you come from a place, and I didn't grow up tough or really hard, but I know a lot of my brothers and sisters did. And so, me, if I'm coming around, I'm friendly. I'm a friendly guy. And there's a difference between flattery and friendly. But both, if you are around certain company, both are bad things. And you can see how that could actually be the same thing. Flattery and friendly, in some places could mean the same thing or could be the same thing. And so I get it. I understand that. And I hear, uh, when Elohim is saying that over flattery, even hearing it or giving it, is a bad thing. And I hope I'm interpreting this correctly. Yeah, sometimes we don't do our appropriate research. Like I'll tell you, that verse, the secret thing, the hidden things of Esau, oh how they are searched out. Boy, people got that one mixed up. It is actually talking about Esau being pillaged and plundered, right? I think we went into that in the Esau Was Never White video series. But people. I've been hearing that verse for years, and I go and look it up and say, "Wow, my goodness!" You see what I'm saying? Look how people are deceived by the English translation, and that's a wild thing too to recognize. And okay, so I have to tell you guys, I've been going to church. I've been going to online a Christian church, and so I know this is it's not something that you would expect the Hebrew to do, or maybe it is, right? But I was invited by a family member, and I've decided to go ahead and continue to keep going. And I will tell you guys, I haven't been in a Christian church in a long time. It's been probably a decade. It's been probably a decade since I've been in a Christian church, and you know. I can't say I don't enjoy it. This particular group is a good group, and all of the guys in the group are really friendly. And, as far as being, having full conversations and you getting to know people, I haven't really gotten to know anybody really well. But I'll tell you that the response it's more of like a small group. I'll tell you that the responses that I hear from scripture being read and interpreted are for me all positive. Do you see what I'm saying? And I guess again, if you're on a surface level of a thing, it can appear a certain way, and you don't know really how it is until you actually get into it. But I will tell you this: I really appreciate the openness, and even in times of contention, because there has been some times, and I was actually not going to speak at all. I was just going to listen, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because you would think that that would be counterintuitive to go as a Hebrew and not say anything and just sit back and listen. Um, Especially when you recognize that there are these false doctrines that are glaring in the church, that the church is not responding to, pretending doesn't exist. But, the members of the church are seeing, the members of the church are online seeing, the same things that I am. You see what I'm saying? So I recognize it in the media, and I recognize that other people would recognize it too. So if that's the case, you have pastors that are, you know, ignoring the concepts that are being said on the internet and continuing the same old rigmarole instead of dealing with the pertinent issues that are affecting the community. Kanye West coming out and saying that Hebrews are black was a huge thing to the community, you guys. We've been screaming this thing for a long time. And when a celebrity comes out and says it, a few celebrities come out and say it, then something changes. Then you also want to watch too, because it's like, oh, what's your angle? But then things start to change. Do you see what I'm saying? Things start to make sense to people because I guess they have to have somebody that they're familiar with and comfortable with telling them to be able to accept it. But the purpose that I'm getting at is that pastors are not addressing this in the church. Pastors are not really. They're one at a timing it. Like if somebody comes and says, "What about this?" Oh, but or what about this? Oh, well, yeah, yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? They're not really dealing with it in terms of Bible study or in terms of addressing it as the conceptual truth that the Bible gives you, right? They're not addressing it. Why? Because it would start to change their income. Because we know that not everybody in the church is going to go with this change. Not everybody is going to, recognize all these things at once. So if you start introducing new things to people that are kind of stuck in their ways, you're automatically going to lose money. As a pastor, you're going to lose money. So people aren't willing to take that chance on their check in order to do the right thing. And this is the right thing to do, to be able to take these ideas and these notions that are in the media and then also be able to understand them and interpret them biblically so that you can know if it be true or not, right? And then this particular thing be true. And it's such a truth that no one once understood would deny it. Not white, not black, not Chinese. you know, this guy, I tell this story all the time, and I'm on here by myself, but I tell this story all the time about this white boy that I was in school with. Um, and this just tells me automatically, and I say this because this guy was also, he was researching the Black Panthers, but he was a lily white boy. He had red hair and freckles on his face, but he saw the injustices that were going on, in the black community, and on his own was researching the Black Panthers, doing a report on not gun violence, but gun influence against the black community. And he was involving the Black Panthers as a means by which black people were stripped of guns. Like the country was able to persecute these people because they were armed. And now, the gun talk is also against black men. It's a way to attack black men. And so this is what his paper was about. I can't remember all the nuance to it, but his paper was concerning guns and Black Panthers and the attack on black men. And so he was, kind of, or maybe he was already primed for this. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm in class, right? And this class is a gardening class. And it involved us just going out and doing some gardening and, doing some volunteering in the garden, in the school garden. Easy way, easy class, easy couple credits to, it was right there. It was my last semester before I graduated. So it was a real cool and easy way to go out. And so we're just gardening. We're kind of, just, what do you call it? Shooting the breeze. And there's an Asian guy and I can't remember I think he was from Japan. But he was there and I'm pretty sure he was Japanese. He was there and he asked me, so why do you dress the way that you dress? And at that time, I dressed in a full Eastern garment, in a robe with fringes at the bottom, like a Hebrew. And so I said, well, this is, we recognize ourselves as the Israelites of the Bible. The curses in Deuteronomy 28 can only fit to one people, and we believe that people is us. And through prophecy, we recognize ourselves as the true Israelites of the Bible. And as I'm saying this, I guess, the guy, I can't remember his name, a redhead, freckled guy, was sitting there, and this kid is 21 years old, right? He's sitting there gardening. He snaps his head, and he says, "That makes sense. You guys did a bad thing. That's why this is going on." And went right back to gardening. But he snapped his head in recognition, you guys, like instant recognition. And this kid was from Oregon. It's not like he had a whole black community. And I know there's black community in Oregon, but this guy didn't come off like he did not come off like he was a white kid from a black community. He was real country. He drove a pickup truck. He was like a plumber. Like a plumber. This kid was like a plumber. He had his own business and was, doing well for himself. He drove a big truck and, kind of ran his own thing at 21 and was in college. So he was doing good. But he recognized right away. He recognized without any argumentation, without any, hesitation whatsoever. He recognized, he saw and believed right away. That sound familiar? Saw and believed right away. A Gentile, right? Understood. If he could, then all of us can. I've been getting pushback, about some of these things. And I'm thinking, it makes more sense. It should make more sense to you because you experienced these things. This guy only saw them and recognized them right away as being the reason why that we are in captivity. The scripture says in Ezekiel 39 that that at the end of the world, the whole world will know that the children of Israel went into captivity because of their iniquity. It says that in Ezekiel 39 when it talks about Gog and Magog. It's wild. It's a wild thing to recognize that doesn't happen until then, you guys. The whole world will recognize that the children of Israel will go into captivity. This means that there has to be at that time a time when the world didn't understand. You see what I'm saying? The scripture is beyond true. But I know we're talking about Christian, but why I'm in, I haven't gone so far off topic. We're talking about why I'm in the Christian church. So the reason why I'm there is so that I can get real emotion. Do you see what I'm saying? I have to say this because I have to I have to get on to my Hebrew brothers and sisters. And I can't even say that I'm not the same way. But you Hebrews, and I'm talking about myself too, you guys. You Hebrews are just too contentious. You're too argumentative. You're too prideful. All of you. I can't go to a place or get comfortable with anybody that's not trying to challenge everything that's talked about at every time. It's not meant for that all the time. Hebrews, you got to sit down and listen sometimes. And listen. It applies to me too. Yared YAW, you got to sit down and listen sometimes. And it's not something I want to do. So this is the reason why I'm trying to teach myself to be more patient, to be more hearing, to be more understanding. And in order to do that, you have to be able to sit down and listen, whether you agree or not, right? And I will tell you, most of the things in the church, I agree with. There's not a lot I disagree with, you guys. You have to understand that there are huge things, huge blasphemous things that I disagree with, right? But the sentiment is correct. Can I say that? The sentiment is correct. We don't have the right sentiment in Hebrew congregations. We're too caught up in ourselves. And again, I'm not excluding myself because I do feel that way. But we could learn something from the Christians in this matter. Sometimes it's time to sit down. You see what I'm saying? So, do I appreciate this Christian group? Yes, I do. Are they willfully breaking the Sabbath? Yes, they are. They are in complete willful disobedience. And that's gonna have to be all right because you can't win them all, right? You can't explain obedience. You can't explain what faith is, right? Because faith is understanding that you have to do these things in order for Elohim to count you worthy as being his child. Do you see what I'm saying? You have to understand that you live in your father's house. You don't live in their house. You don't live in the guy down the street's house. You're an Israelite. You live in your father's house. It's a black church, of course. You live in your father's house, and your father says, don't work on Saturday. And everybody knows it. Everybody actually knows it. But it's like, I don't want to. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to. You know, let's interpret around it. But of course, we know that that's it's going to be that way. We're not going to be able to get around that. You're really going to have to work hard if you want to, change people's hearts towards the law. People don't recognize the law is literally the Torah, and the Torah doesn't mean law; it means instruction. Do you see the tricky word play that King James used? It means instruction. And so if you hear that the instruction is good and holy, then you listen to that. But if you hear the law is good and holy, you're thinking, uh-oh, right? Like the police, right? Uh-oh, the law? Do you see what I'm saying? The tricky wordplay even goes a long way into cementing in people's mind, the concept of lawlessness that we get from Christian doctrine. Do you see what I'm saying? So it really makes sense that, you do have to have a Hebrew influence on Christianity in order to bridge that gap, in order to make the two sticks one, you guys. And I know two sticks, I get it. I understand absolutely what people are saying about that. But I was having a conversation with a sister, and she said something very interesting to me. And I don't know if she recognizes how profound it was what she said, but I have a sneaking suspicion that she does. But what she said is that Christianity was really the whole thing was about reuniting the lost sheep. That all of Christianity was a target for the lost tribes of Israel. That's all it was, and that's just a really succinct way to put it. And it's got to be true. Do you see what I'm saying? We know that James wrote to the 12 tribes of the dispersion. We know that Peter wrote to those who were scattered in Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, to the dispersion again. We know that the elect lady in First John chapter 2, or no, Second John. Second John. We know the elect lady in Second John. My kid's gonna get me. We know the elect lady in Second John is talking about the northern tribes of Israel. The elect lady and her sister, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Corresponding to the to Ahola and Aholiba of Ezekiel. And so we know that is just a reference to the lost tribes. And it is very interesting that John is writing to them. It is very interesting that Peter is writing to them. It's very interesting that James is writing to them. That's all the writers of the Bible right there. You've got Jude, but the the interesting thing is that means that Paul must have been writing to them too, right? Not just them, of course, true Gentiles as well. Maybe the leaders of the church were this or that. Most of the time, I would think there would be the understanding that they would be Israelites, but I don't think it would be that way in every instance. But it had to be that had to be the case. Evening. That had to be the case. Do you see? Christianity must have been all about reuniting the lost tribes and then pulling in um, the sojourners with them, the fruit of the goyim, pulling them into. And as you can see, it's like a net that is catching you, like going out and catching what it can, and it drags what it does. And if you've got a net and you're dragging it across the ground, you know that it'll catch some rocks, but it'll leave others, or it'll catch some pieces of grass, but some pieces of grass will hold on, right? And so if it feels like it's that, like Elohim just took the lost tribes and threw them. And as he's reeling people back in, and with this understanding, it's actually pulling more than just the Israelites with it. It's pulling in the sojourners, the companions. And so that's what I think that Christianity is. I think that's the reason behind Christianity. And it's such a succinct way to put it. Of course, we understand it in this kind of disjointed way. But really, when she said this, she said that this was told to her by an old 80-year-old rabbi who was Ashkenazi Jewish from the Polish ghettos, from the concentration camp era, and just said, yeah, we recognize it. And he said that he said to her that anybody that said that the original Jews weren't black is lying. Is deceived or lying. So it's really something that they all know and they all intrinsically know, right? But we don't, because the propagandists work so well. So this is why I'm in the Christian church. I'm there to listen. I'm there to learn. I'm there to learn how to be humble. I'm there to learn how to be a servant. I'm there to relearn these things because I've been out in Hebrew land so long that I've fashioned my sword so sharp that I'm stabbing myself with it. See what I'm saying? Bumping my head against the wall with people that are already full. Do you see what I'm saying? And so yeah, I appreciate this place, and I do think that I'm going to continue to go as long as I can. But I don't think I'm going to make a big issue about the things that we know are issues. I will bring them up on occasion, but I think people are, and I'll tell you, there are things that I haven't brought up yet. I haven't brought up that we're Israelites yet. I've announced that I was an Israelite, but or not was, but of course I still am. But announced that is who I am. So I believe they know that, but I haven't done it in the actual meeting, just in the side conversations. I haven't done it as a topic of conversation, and I think that I will do that here soon, but I'm not going to do it just yet. You see what I'm saying? We're gonna make the what will appear to be pride of my heritage a secondary thing. What kind of Hebrew do that? So I guess I'm trying to learn, you guys. Not to say that it's not the most important thing for our culture to know, because all the problems that our culture has now would instantly be fixed if we recognize this. We would treat our women better if we recognize this. We would treat marriage better. We would understand marriage better. We would have a better concept of marriage, like a tighter hold, if we understood where that concept even comes from in our heritage. We would do that better. We would behave better. We would get along with one another better. Do you see what I'm saying? We'd have feasts that were dedicated to our culture. Do you see what I mean? That would specifically represent us and not the oppressor, right? July 4th represents the oppressor. December 25th represents the oppressor, because it's not when Messiah was born. That's when Jesus was born. Jesus, we know, is not the Messiah. This is a part of the oppression. Jesus is the Greco-Roman version of the Messiah that they gave to us in place of the real Messiah, who is Yahushua HaMashiach, which is who, Matthew's talking about, is who Luke is talking about, who Mark is talking about. Do you see what I'm saying? These people are Hebrew people, and they're describing the Messiah, who John is talking about. Do you see what I'm saying? They're describing the Messiah to us, and they tell us that his name is Yahushua HaMashiach. Zechariah tells us that his name is Yahushua. Do you see what I'm saying? So anybody that tells us anything different, and any entity that comes to us saying these things, we have to know is a lie. And so these things are very important for the church to understand, and it would fix all the problems that we have as a society, as a black society. But in order to address that topic, you can't lead with it. You have to allow Yahusha to lead. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's a good thing. And I think that we've tried to lead ourselves too much. I think if we are led, even in a place that needs guidance, I think that goes a long way. It goes a long way for our own souls. So that's why I'm there. But you guys, it's been about an hour. I hadn't had anybody come on here just yet. But if anybody goes back and listens to this, I do appreciate it. We are going to continue to do lives on top of doing the news too, so that I can continue to have these casual conversations. It's also therapeutic to me too. I have to admit. But again, I appreciate your family. Shalom, shalom.